Hello everyone and welcome to the first race of the 2018 Mopar Canadian Superbike Championships. But this time around, Colin Fraser alongside, it's not a sport bike race, it's not a superbike race, it's the new lightweight sport bike.
Well, it is a sport bike race, but it's not a middleweight sport bike race. So this is the brand new class. This is similar to classes at Moto America in the US and the World Series for superbikes, production-based motorcycles in Europe. And what we have here is small displacement motorcycles with very limited modifications. So we're looking forward to some exciting action as we're looking through the start grid. And there you can see Tony Sharpless, who's certainly had an impressive career on a wide range of motorcycles.
Former Inside Motorcycle editor and now working with Yamaha Canada, Graham Jones.
And there we have the front two rows. Jake Leclerc has been the standout so far. He was very fast at the end of the year when this class was in development. He was fast 2 weeks ago at a regional race here, Super Series round at Shannonville, and he is definitely the man to beat and has established himself. I'm not the only person who thinks so.
Yeah, he's established himself very well. Through every practice session, he's been atop the leaderboard every time we've seen him on track, and definitely a budding talent there, and something that I trust that this type of racing, this class of racing is going to produce that type of talent. These are the riders that will make the step up, no doubt, into the amateur sport bike class and eventually into the pro ranks.
There we are on board, pardon me, with one of the Yamaha R3s, and we've got just a turn to go. I think actually that was Leclerc's bike we were with there, so that's the view of the pole sitter as he's heading way to the grid. There you can see starters, orders waiting to happen once the whole grid forms. Leclerc weaving to get a little hot heat into those tires. Worth mentioning, these Dunlop tires do not come off warmers. They're street-based tires. They're not required to have that kind of heat in them. So, of course, that's another factor of learning how to race and getting the most out of your equipment.
These kids, I was going to refer to them as kids, but we have riders as old as 60 years of age in this class. But they've all been toured, Colin. They've gone through school, as it were, with the seminars that were promoted at the Toronto Motorcycle Show back in February, and the constant ongoing feedback that they've been getting from the CSBK organization.
Yeah, we expect this class to grow, get bigger, get a wider range of equipment, and hopefully a wider range of racers. But a pretty good starting point here. The very first national, the 2018 season. There you can see we're just about, we're now heading for starters orders. Field lines up, and a lot of tension and drama.
Oh, you could feel the tension in the air, Colin. The riders now perched on their motorcycles, bringing those revs up right now. The palms are sweaty. The pupils are dilating. They're looking at the starting lights. The clutches are out, and the field is away and running, charging down in a mad group down into turn number one. And I think that's Berthome on the 46 bike running in second spot. And is that Jake Leclerc who has sprinted into the lead already?
This is what we didn't want to see, is Leclerc already showing his prowess in the class on that Yamaha R3. We have another R3 right behind him. That's Berthome.
Berthome out of Quebec. It's a family of racers there. I believe his family owns a Yamaha dealership up in Quebec. And, of course, the genes handed down from father to son and what have you. He's running his second spot right now. And that is Neil Graham on the Honda 500 running in third spot. Easy to pick him out. The red Honda, very easy to spot in this field of Kawasaki's and Yamahas.
On board with our media bike here, heading off the back straight. That's the onboard shot from Graham, the number 8 Honda. You can see in the back of this shot as we see Leclerc looking very strong coming off the back straight, and he is hammered down. He is not waiting to warm those tires.
He has such great style, Colin, as you may have noticed that when he is on the straightaway, you watch look at that, lifting the back wheel, doing the MotoGP leg dangle as he heads into Allen's corner on this lap number one. Leclerc clearly in early control of this motorcycle race. You see how quickly he picks up his knee, Colin, and as he does that, he'll grip the gas tank, lift his butt up, and put it on the tail section of the motorcycle, making himself much more aerodynamic. And he's the only rider in this class that's doing it. We saw him doing the same thing in the race Super Series 2 weeks ago.
Here we are on board once again, and this is the view from the second place bike. Now we're back to the side of the track with Leclerc. Now remember, no one's ever seen these guys ride these motorcycles. This is the first time we've had a chance to shoot video of them, so it's remarkable to see Leclerc. He is really impressive on this Yamaha.
Really neat footage that we're seeing from the side of that Honda 500 that Neil Graham is piloting around this racetrack as well. Graham holding on to, and Leclerc has a look back. Aren't they not supposed to do that? Are they schooled on that? Don't look back. Keep looking forward. Leclerc right down on the gas tank. Look at that right behind the plexiglass. Now watch, he'll just peek up over the edge, sit up a bit, create a bit of a parachute there, leg dragging out and doing a magnificent job. On board once more with Kevin Graham on the Honda.
And that's Neil Graham heading through the S's. He's in a solid third place. Most of these motorcycles are restricted to 42 horsepower. The Honda, which is a heavier twin, can have a little more horsepower, but it's a lot greater in weight, so maybe not ideal for racing. And there's second place Yamaha R3 of Berthiaume, and there's, well, really Leclerc's gone already.
Yeah. Berthiaume, I don't think, has got a sniff. If anything is going to happen here, perhaps Neil Graham will be able to close up some distance on that Honda. In behind Neil Graham, I'm not sure if that is Johan Plonk or who that is. We'll get a correct number on that next lap around. Right now we're having a good close look at Berthiaume as he heads into turn number 3 on this course layout. Of course, that is turn number 7 on the Shannonville long layout.
This section we're in right now, Frank, was just repaved over the winter, so that is a nice improvement to the Shannonville Motorsport Park Pro Track, the perimeter track here, as we follow the battle for second. And Berthiaume is definitely pulling clear. He's not challenging our leader Leclerc. On board once again with the Honda of Neil Graham, which is our media bike. Various journalists are going to be riding that Honda twin throughout the season.
This field has become a very long multi-wheeled snake, Colin. There's nobody that's out of line. Everybody seems to be in everybody else's wheel tracks coming down the Fabi straightaway. At least on that run, we don't see any challenges happening within the field at all.
Well, very first race of the season, new class. It's not surprising. We've seen this before. People are a little careful, and now we've hopped over to actually follow Neil Graham on that Honda 500 twin. This is a generic bike. Honda have a lot of different versions of this 500 twin. It's a very successful, versatile motorcycle. This is the R version, which is the more sporty one, as Graham heads through turn 1.
Lap number 4 now is what we're working. This is a 10-lap National Championship final race, the first one of the year. Of course, this is the Saturday race. We're going to be running again tomorrow as the amateur lightweight sport bike class runs double headers at each and every round of our 7-race Mopar CSBK series. And that was true when we ran the spec series with the Kawasaki's and Hondas as well. So the format is there, and valuable saddle time for these up-and-coming riders.
Neil Graham heading through the hairpin onto the back straight. Former editor of Cycle Canada magazine, having a look over his shoulder. He now runs the Blue Groove website, which of course refers to his first love, flat track racing.
And he was very good at that indeed, but he has really adapted to road racing, obviously. I mean, running in the top 3 of this class, and he's also competing in the... oh, we've gone to a red flag. We got a rider down. And that is the 814 machine.
Another bike down in the back of that shot. So there's an awful lot going on at this moment.
Well, that's Allen's corner there where that one was. The back, the front wheel actually still spinning on the that Kawasaki. And that's the 118 machine, so...
I think that's 901, Frank.
Was it?
Yeah, that would be Matt Simpson. And that's the 814 machine of Connor Campbell. Yeah, who's obviously pretty frustrated, but looks like he's a one-piece. Yeah.
Good news item. So we go to the restart now. What was a 10-lap race. We were on lap 4, I believe, when those two mishaps happened at once. I don't ever recall that happening before.
Yeah, there was a lot going on all at one time, and unfortunately these classes where the bikes are very equal sometimes yield those kinds of things, and that's the reality when you formulate the rules to make sure the class is close. And here we go.
Running once more. Big wheelie by Berthiaume, and that may play against him. Meanwhile, Neil Graham gets sandwiched into fourth spot, rather. He had been running in third, but guess who's up front again, as... Leclerc has clearly sprinted away very, very quickly. I think this start was better than his first start.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. His first start was great, and this one's better.
Holy, look.
We're looking backwards from our leader, Leclerc, and this is what the field would be like battling for the lead if Leclerc wasn't there.
Yeah. And Berthaume's big wheelie that I thought might self-penalize on the start there did not seem to do that at all. He is into second spot once more. And now, of course, Neil Graham's got some company up there that he's going to have to work hard to get through if he's going to make his way up front.
And I think we just saw Plank on the Kawasaki making a move. And here you can see Graham trying. Actually, he's not in the draft. He's looking up the inside. Back with our leader, and you can see a bit of a slide and right back up on the top of the seat. He is doing all the little tricks that make a difference on little bikes, and he's doing them all the time.
And he's the only one that's doing it. That's what I don't get. I mean, he's got a younger brother even that hasn't picked up on it. Young Ben, who's only 15 years of age. Jake's sitting at around 17 or 18, I believe now. But again, he's the only guy that's doing it. It is definitely working.
On board with the leader there briefly as he heads to start his second lap since the restart. And last year he was one of the front runners of the Kawasaki Ninja 300 Spec Series, but not one of the dominant riders, but clearly cut his teeth, has figured out, had a quick look over his shoulder there. And this is what happens when you start looking for talent. It starts popping up, and he is certainly a solid talent.
I saw a nice shot there of the 64 bike. That's Ryan White on the Kawasaki 300. There's only one of the new Kawasaki 400s in this field so far, Colin, and that rider is well back. But this field seems to be somewhat dominated by Yamaha R3s.
Yeah, certainly the Yamaha is a popular bike. The existing Ninja 300s are too. We're looking at one of those now.
Yeah.
But we expect to see more Kawasaki 400s moving forward. And of course, we don't have any KTMs yet. And in the United States, they're doing very well. So it'd be nice to see some of those too.
Graham once more through turn 11 at speed and slightly off the line of the rider in front of him. It looked like White, last time we saw footage of White, it looked like he was pulling out to make a move. Here we are now steaming down into Allen's corner. And those two Kawasaki's making a Honda sandwich there of Neil Graham on the media bike, the CBR 500 twin.
Now the two Kawasaki's have to weigh at least 320 pounds post-race. They're allowed to put out 42 horsepower. Graham's Honda 370, quite a bit heavier, but 45 horsepower. And of course, weight is always problematic with race bikes, Frank.
There's White once again having a look at the back end of Graham's machine as he's trying to close in on Planck on the 74 machine. Jake Leclerc has just set a lap time of 1:16, and that is fast by far, Colin. It's the lowest lap time we've seen thus far in this race. Bairstow running in second spot. Taverner is the man running in third spot with Johan Planck in fourth. Neil Graham, then Ryan White, Graham Jones, Tony Sharpless, Ben Leclerc, the younger brother, and rounding out our top 10 at this point in time, Mark Roca.
Great shot looking backwards from Graham, who's in the middle of this great dice. And in fact, these three battling for fourth, I believe, are pushing up towards third. So that's good. And everybody's starting to get a little more comfortable after the red flag and breaking their rhythm. And of course, the stress when you have multiple incidents.
This is the classic race within the race. You know, when you get a leader that's gone and is starting to disappear, you start to look back in the field and see if you can find something happening. We found something happening here as Graham, Planck, and White are starting to really heat it up now, and they got precious little time to get it done as we have but one lap to go, Colin.
And of course, setting sail in the lead is Leclerc, and he has been oh so impressive this weekend. And in fact, ever since we announced this class, he has been showing at various tracks on various formats, tire testing and whatnot, a lot of pace.
And keeping pace, of course, is what Neil Graham has got to do if he has any intentions of moving up one position as we go on board once more with the Honda, heading up towards the hairpin now. You talked about that new asphalt up in that area. It has opened up that corner and made it really easy for riders to choose the line they want as White comes out of the corner and runs right up on the back end of Graham, and now virtually side by side on the back straightaway. Look at this footage, Colin, as he just disappears as though riding into a mirror.
Yeah, normally you slipstream by pulling in behind the other rider, so this is a little bit different, but man, are those bikes evenly matched for being such different bikes in terms of weight.
I think Graham won the braking contest on that one going into 11. That is a very daunting corner, as you well know. Now, coming out of the final corner is your race leader. There is Jake Leclerc. The checkered flag is out, and that young man has made history. The first amateur lightweight sport bike race in Canada in 2018, and Jake Leclerc has captured it big time.
Hopefully our next event will be a little more regular in terms of the pattern, because with the red flags and the interruptions and the shortages, you don't get a true representation, but I think the winner probably represents the top dog today. Let's head down to Frank at the podium.
John Taverner, that was a rather interesting race, what with the restart and all. Your thoughts, sir?
Great race. I got to thank it to everybody out here, especially for the little hamster here for giving us something to strive for. I want to thank my buddy in second place, giving me a good run. And yeah, thank you to everybody at Mopar and CSBK, and it's a pleasure being here.
And what a race for you, Alex. You smiling at John there. You guys had a terrific dice. Fun, huh?
Yeah, pretty fun. I realize I'm getting old for this a little bit. But yeah, it's fun chasing the 17-year-old, I think. And yeah, it was a pretty good race. I think he was too fast this weekend for us to really have a chance to beat him.
Well said, and congratulations on your second place finisher. A good points grab towards a national championship, perhaps.
Yes,
And John, if I could excuse myself for one moment so that I might reach the mic up to this young man. Congratulations, Jake.
Thank you.
He's got a smile on his face. It's not going to go away for a week. I got to ask no yes or no questions, right? Tell us about your race.
Yeah, it was good. I knew I could run at the front, so I just figured I might as well just try and get a good start and just ride my own race.
Jake loses the race. Jake loses the Cork race.
Looking at our post-race finishing order, and you can see there's been some changes. We headed to the dyno and there were a few surprises. So Leclerc keeps his victory on the Yamaha. Plank moves up to second on his Kawasaki. Graham, who was fifth on the road, is third on a Honda. Meanwhile, Berthiaume drops to fourth, and Taverner, who was third on the podium along with Berthiaume, is now fifth overall. Then we move on to White, Jones, Tony Sharpless, Ben Leclerc, and Mark Roca in 10th.
On behalf of Colin Fraser and myself, I'm Frank Wood. Thanks so much for being with us today. We'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.